What is up, Scream Team? Zach Cherry here, and I just got done seeing Halloween Ends, so I'm gonna give you a spoiler-free review of just what my initial thoughts of the movie were, and then in like a week or so, I'll do a more detailed, like full breakdown analysis with spoilers and all that. But here, I just want to kind of give you my unfiltered thoughts coming out of the movie, having gone into it with absolutely zero expectations, because as a lot of you might know who have been following my channel, I have not been a big fan of this David Gordon Green timeline at all. So for the last several months, or really the last year since Halloween Kills had ended, I just had no passion or motivation to see where this storyline was going, what was going to happen next. It really felt like with 2018, which I thought was an okay movie, it's definitely not my favorite of the franchise, but there were a lot of choices made in that movie that I did not care for. And I felt that with Halloween Kills, they doubled down on those bad choices and just made a worse movie that just did not have a trajectory. And a lot of excuses that I hear for Halloween Kills is that that was a bridge movie. It's supposed to bridge Halloween 2018 and Halloween Ends, which I think is just a convenient excuse, which I hope to never hear again, because if you have seen Halloween Ends, you will know that there is no trajectory from 2018 to Kills to Ends. This was completely made up as they went along. So I think that a lot of people who are kind of going into Halloween Ends expecting a solid conclusion to the story, those are the people who are going to be the most disappointed by this. Because as a trilogy, I think that this is kind of a failure, but as a standalone movie, I really actually enjoy Halloween Ends, and that really surprised me too, especially since, I just assumed that it was going to be crap. The one thing that we all need to understand, though, is that this franchise, outside of the original, every single movie has been a completely different thing. That's the beauty of the Halloween franchise. Like, there's so much diversity story-wise. Like, every chapter, just whether it be the character or the setting or the tone, paints a completely different picture of who Michael Myers is and what his mission is all about. I think the one exception might be Halloween 4, because that one plays it pretty safe. Like, it's very simplistic in a way. Like, it's more in line with what the original Halloween is, but everything else does its own thing. And Halloween Ends might be the one that does its own thing the most aggressively. And this isn't including Season of the Witch either, which obviously is a completely different story. But I really admire and respect the audacity and the grit and the passion. And that's a word that I don't use loosely when it comes to these David Gordon Green movies, because I feel like a lot of this has been a business deal. That's what it feels like to me. And, no knock against that, because, these people obviously want to earn money for this. But up until this point, it's definitely felt like a business deal. And how can we make the most money possible? Whereas when it comes to Halloween Ends, I can actually feel the passion that David Gordon Green put into this, because I feel that this is the most authentic he's been as a filmmaker since he's been doing these Halloween films. With 2018 and Kills, it seemed like the most popular parts of those movies, or the scenes that everyone loved the most, were the more homage-y type things that were more so just direct references to John Carpenter. Those were the scenes that worked the best, and it felt that whenever David Gordon Green was kind of like putting his own hands into it and just doing things in his own style, that's where the movies lost me. That's where I feel like it didn't really capture or understand the genre or the idea of what Halloween was. And here, not that there aren't homages to the past movies, but if there are, they're very subtle and nuanced in a way. And because of that, I feel that David Gordon Green is taking a lot more liberties in doing his own thing and not second guessing himself. I don't really know his film repertoire outside of the Halloween movies, because obviously he's not a horror director per se. The Halloweens are the first time he's dabbled in this genre. And while I think that, he did make a lot of mistakes in those first first two movies. Here, he's kind of grown past that. And you notice that in the way that the story kind of moves along a lot more seamlessly. I think that the transitions were done much more effectively here. The tone was a lot more consistent as well. In Halloween Kills, the tone was all over the place. We would cut from scenes that were tense and scary to go to more melodramatic beats and then throw in a lot of comedy. Here, it's just the same tone all throughout. And I think that greatly improves the overall product. And that's just one of the reasons why I think that this is the best of the three movies that he's done. Obviously, this is going to be an opinion that is not shared by a lot of people. Many of you are going to be very angry about this movie coming out of it, especially if you're expecting some major closure, because this movie doesn't really offer a whole lot of that. Like, I'm not going to say that it doesn't, but I feel like the closure to this trilogy is very weak, and this movie focuses a lot more on some new ideas. That's as much as I'll say without getting spoilery, even though I feel like Blumhouse has spoiled as a lot of this movie in their marketing anyway. But it's inevitable that this movie is going to be extremely divisive. It's going to end up on a lot of fans' bottom ranking of all of the movies because of the passion and all of the new ideas that are put into it. It is very much on a level of, you know, like a Halloween 5 or Halloween 6, just with their ideas of implementing things about cults and psychic connections. And not that that's specifically what's going on here, but it's just kind of like that sort of tangent that I would expect a lot of Halloween fans to be all up in arms about. I think that in 20 years from now, I can see this being a movie that does amass quite a large cult following. I don't think that a lot of these people are going to look at this and think that it's a masterpiece, but there's definitely going to be an appreciation for the risks that it takes and how it isn't like the other movies. And we see this in other franchises like A New Beginning in Friday the 13th, and Freddy's Revenge and A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's just a common theme of franchises that tried different things at the wrong time and it didn't work out for them then, but you know, who knows? All I can say is that after seeing Halloween 2018, I saw that 2 more times afterwards and got very fatigued by it very quickly. After I saw Kills for the first time, I had no desire to go back and watch that. With Ends, I'm ready to go back in. Like, I would watch this right now if I had it available to me. For anyone who hasn't seen Halloween Ends and you're planning to, I hope you do enjoy it. I hope that even if it's not your favorite, that there is something that you get out of it. And I hope that as a community of Halloween fans, that we can all just get along. Why are we all fighting all the time? Anyway, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can check out my ranking for all 13 Halloween movies and also my full spoiler review and Halloween Ends breakdown, which should be coming out within the next week or so. Until then, I've been Zach Cherry, and I'll be right back